Alright, today's the day we're going to put this thing together and hopefully fire it off. I'm pretty confident it'll work out. So just a quick walk around before we get rolling here. Things I've done. Basically, I did everything I need to do with the block. Got new studs, cleaned everything up, painted everything, honed the cylinder. There is a little bit of a groove in here. Let's see, I don't know if it'll show up. But you see that groove right there from the wrist pin. But it ran good before, so I'm going to go with it for now and see how it runs. I'll just give you a little bit of video here, what it looks like. It's dark in there. Oh, let's turn on the light. There we go. So cleaned up in the hopper. Already installed the gas tank. I'll show you some pictures of that real quick. Wanted to paint down in here black so it looks a little cleaner when it's oily. But should be good to go. Put the cart together. I'll throw up a couple pictures of the cart process here. But it's made out of water oak, a tree that fell at my parents' house a few years back, probably 7 or more years back. I did not have a large enough piece to make these rails, so we laminated 3 together. But turned out pretty good. Go to a polyurethane. Something interesting with this wood. All these little black holes and grooves. Some kind of bugs ate through it, and I don't know if it was while the wood was being stored or while the tree was down or what, but it's kind of neat looking. But most of these go all the way through. When Chad clamped these down and was laminating them, the glue actually came out of one side. So, alright. Eventually I'll make a handle for this, but for now I just got a rope there. Alright, let's look over some parts. Some of these I did on video already, but got the magneto ready to go. I wanted to use stainless hardware, so I replaced some of the bolts, like this one I flattened out for the rocker arm adjustment. But everything's cleaned up. Got our cam ready to go. Governor assembly ready to bolt on. Got our push rod all built. Pistons together. I gaffed the rings and installed them already. Then we built the head. I destroyed the original head by mistake. It came loose while I was cutting the valve guide, and it was at a slight angle, and then I got this bright idea to cut the seat to match, and it was too much of an angle and tore it up, so I had to start over. And crankshaft's all ready. Alright, so piston's ready to go in. Get everything oiled up good. This way it smokes like crazy when we first start it. Let me stagger these rings here. Do me a favor, Chad. Get on the other side of that cart and stop it from rolling while I push it in here. Alright. Go ahead and get this off. It is tight. Those rings are. I had to when I can't even talk. When I set the ring gap, it was a tight fit compressing those rings enough to fit in the hole. Okay, I'll just sit there until we install the crank. So I have these caps marked. This one's the left side, arrows pointing out, and that one will say right with arrows pointing out. These are our shims, they can stay right there for now. So we'll install these two bearings. The little pin goes in the hole.
They're not marked.
No, they're identical. So I made these shims. For now, they're out of plastic. 3D printed them. I'm going to end up making some out of aluminum, but for today, we're just going to go with this, make sure everything's right, probably let it break in, and then remeasure. But to find this proper size shim, I made an assortment of all different sizes and thicknesses, and installed the crankshaft, tightened it down, and adjusted the shim thickness until I got a little bit of play in there, room for grease. So we're going to go with it that way. Should be good to go. All right, I'll stay greasy here. All right.
Test the piston first, or
No, we'll get the caps on first. That's all nasty. I'll just set it in place. Keep you from having to get dirty. Which side was the pin? I don't remember. Was it? Let me see it. Okay, pin was the inside.
this is going this way.
Yep.
So
Now it'll take a little bit of work to get it to line the pin up, but your pin's lined up.
see if I can get it lined up.
Go and set that one in place. Yeah, I guess it wasn't the best thing to do. Just leave them all down there. So the wider nut goes first, and your washer's upside down. There we go. So before you tighten it down, I need to make sure the shims aren't wedged in between the bearing and the two bearing shells. Oh, seems to be good. There's no spec for it, so I'm gonna torque it good and tight. All right. Why am I stiff?
Shim's too small.
Well, that don't make sense. When I test fitted it, was great. This side. Yeah, this side's good. Eh, something's wrong with this one on this side here. Let me take a look.
That in the thing.
Yeah, but that side's good for sure. All right. Yeah, I could definitely see that needs more shim. All right.
Acts like it.
Yeah, I mean it's hovering. Yeah. Let me see. Let me get some bigger ones. Find the next size up. Try some 165 mil.
How does it work?
You know, the bearings might be, I assumed they were identical, but they might have been different. I should have marked which side they were on. Yeah, a teeny bit of play for grease, but not much. I think we're good there. Yep. Throw those on and I'll tighten them down. Nah, I think it's good. I mean, I still feel the slack in it, so. Yep, you do. There's no bearing clearance spec for this one.
Huh.
All right, so there. Here, take that one and set that back. And the way I marked this and paid attention, I got a purple dot there. And it matches the top, so.
Purple dot there.
Turn this crankshaft up, or other way. Keep going. Keep going. There we go. Oh, the bearing fell out of that. All right. I think when I adjusted the clearance, I didn't have as much. I used a thinner grease. Ton of grease in there we got to squish out. Tell you what, so we can see how this feels as we're working with it. I think we should go ahead and put it on this flywheel.
Oh, so you have something to spin it with?
Yeah.
Not bad.
Let's see if this will fit without me cleaning out that bore.
All right. That's it.
Just a little bit of a gap, but all right. Yeah, it'll be something like that. Maybe those gib keys are too long. Well, it's supposed to.
Supposed to get to here.
Yeah, but it's not even tight yet on the thing. I'm just trying to not tear it up too much while I tap it in. We'll get it close to there. It doesn't have to be all the way. It is a little too long.
You only got, like say, 1/16 of an inch now between the bearings.
As long as it goes easy, I just want to see where it stays. Am I hitting the bearing?
It's bearing now.
No, I'm not. It's just actually getting tight now. But it's sticking out a tad.
Yep.
The rings is what you hear rubbing. The rings on the honed surface.
Well, I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that gib key sticks out a tad, but I'm going to go with it for now. I'll replace them. Or probably just mill them later. But for the sake of getting this thing running.
I mean, you're going to take it down. You're going to change spacers, trims, right?
Well, I won't be normally be taking that off, but I am going to eventually adjust that gib key, so I'll go with it. Okay, what's next?
I would say the head. That's just me.
I think
We'll take the
for the head to slide over the push rod, I think we have to put the push rod on next. Because on our cylinder head, we got the push rod has to go through, and with the cylinder head in place, I don't think we can manipulate it to get it through. Because
Oh, it goes that way?
yeah, so I think we need to do the push rod next. Which, let's just build out the gear train, I guess. We'll put our timing gears on. Actually, no, we'll do the push rod first. So the push rod goes down, and then this goes over it. So roll your chair over here. You'll need to hold on to those screws, those two flat heads. Yep. This is going to go right here. And that piece you have bolts over this and holds it in place. There's two dowel pins there if you see them.
Yep.
Okay. And the bottom screw is easiest to start first.
Tight to start with.
Yeah. Tight enough, but don't. But those screws will be easy to tear up with that little screwdriver. So, yeah, I got something else to tighten it the rest of the way with. Tight enough now. Tell you what, now we can put the cylinder head on. Let's go ahead and pull off all those nuts and washers and stuff, and I'll get our parts ready. Okay, go ahead. So I'll guide this. You get those. So spring loaded with the spring, so it might slide out a little bit. It'll take a little while to get the fuel mixture right, probably. Now that I have a good needle. It'll be fighting itself because it's got more friction now with the new rings and stuff. But I do have a governor spring that'll run it at normal speed, supposedly.
There's a lot less pieces now.
Yeah, we'd be done with it if that thing didn't mess with us so much. Okay. Next up is our magneto. Yep, goes there. So go ahead and take those bolts off, those nuts off. I'll get the gasket prepped. Yeah, one of them's a little rough along the way. So I'm using some copper coat spray for these gaskets. Just for the imperfections and stuff. Alright, so I will hold this in place for you and you can... So the nuts go there.
I see it now.
Alright, next up, let's put the gear on the crankshaft. Oh, we got compression now. Okay, so I want to keep that spaced out a little.
So don't try to get the other wheel set first.
No. Dude, I put that gear on backwards.
Ah,
Doo-doo-doo. Alright, I'm going to pause the video to save some battery. Okay, back at it. I ended up taking my cutoff wheel and putting a notch in that key, and then prying it out with this. So we'll remove that gear and flip it around, and we'll be good to go. So here's the timing marks I was looking for. The key stopped because it was hitting a ramp, so it does need to be shorter. Okay. Leave it out just a tad so I can get to it again if I need to. Next up, we're going to install our cam. We got a timing mark here and a couple timing marks down there. And we'll take a look at it. This one's interesting. Like all the manuals I see show a timing mark there, but for some reason, there's a couple dots right here. I'm thinking maybe it was when somebody took it apart before, they made those dots because they didn't realize this was one of the marks. Keyway's the timing mark.
it's the timing. I mean, whether the dots or not, it should line up, right?
Right. Alright. So, we'll do it the factory way. Just for the sake of the video.
Keyway.
Yep. Except I don't think you can see that very good on camera. Let's see.
Put an arrow on it.
So this tab right here lines up with the keyway for the timing marks.
You want to check that. Okay, you can see if the other match.
Yep. Did I go too far? No, not yet. And the others line up good. This latch out's adjusted wrong. That's why it doesn't actually kick it back. But we'll fix that. It's an easy adjustment later. Yeah, we'll go through all the adjustments once we get it together. Okay. It's good that we got some compression. We got a lot more compression than we had. It'll get a lot better once it breaks in. Let's I'm gonna do all our adjustments before we put the flywheel on. I need to put the rocker arm on the front. Have a spacer on the bottom because to raise it so it's actually centered on the valve. Also, I rounded over the back of this valve a little so it wouldn't catch a rough edge.
These are going to have to be adjusted eventually.
Yeah. Okay, I have a feeling the snap ring on the bottom is going to be fun to get. Maybe I should put that on top so it's easier. Oh, I can't because I got all this in the way. So.
Oh yeah.
All right, so I'll just fight it. Let me get a new snap ring because this one's all mangled up. Maybe, maybe not. Need to find what to do with my snap ring assortment. You think I would have? Hey, I found my short gib keys. No, he was in a hurry at that point. I didn't want to embarrass him that mine sounds better than his new tractor anyway. No, he didn't care. Man, he said, dude, this thing steers so much easier than the one I grew up on. And I'm thinking, that thing is tough to steer. I don't know. Yeah, that's what he said, but I was like, all right, cool. All right, what did I do with the kit? Do. Not that's small enough to fit them well, but I got a tool that fits them good enough. Doesn't matter though, I can't find it, so. Well, maybe I get this one back into shape. That was way easier than it should have been. This one kind of fits it, but it's. All right, and something I added that may last or may cause problems is I added set screws to keep that pin from moving and wallering that hole out. That set screw? Yeah. All right, so now we need to figure out all these adjustments. First adjustment I'm going to do, I'm going to adjust this latch out here because right now it's a little hard to see, but the cam does not quite touch that roller to let the latch go. The cam lobe actually has to shove it so it can release, and then the governor kicks it out. So I loosen this, and then there's this flathead screw here I adjust. So I just adjusted this screw, slid this back till I saw the roller making contact, and put, I don't know what the spec is, but I just, a little bit, enough it would bounce. All right.
That adjustment is just a screw.
Yeah.
Mistake.
This holds it.
Oh,
so I loosen this, adjust this screw, and it slides it back and forth. Okay, next up, let's adjust our exhaust valve, and then we'll play with timing. The timing is a tricky one. I haven't messed with before. So you have two lobes on here. You have one that is your ignition, where this should not make contact. And once you're at that stage, that's where you adjust this down. Let me put the camera on the other side where it could be seen. Got two cam lobes. You got a higher one and a lower one. The higher one should go all the way and open the exhaust. The lower one sets ignition, so we wait till it goes all the way out and fires. And right there's the peak. So we want to adjust it down so it's close, but doesn't actually touch because you don't want the exhaust opening on the intake stroke or power stroke. That's too tight, in my opinion. Let me back off some. It rotated a little with me. All right. So now we should have exhaust strokes pressing the valve, right? Okay. This next one's power stroke. And it shouldn't touch that. And then it does exhaust once it comes back. Okay, so bottom dead center, compression, top dead center, it fires. This is the power stroke. It's going all the way down. Now it's at bottom dead center. Now the exhaust is letting it out. Should close, intake, and so on. All right. Okay, so that's good. Let's see. Let's get a camera view of all this working. Compression stroke, top dead center fired, power stroke, exhaust. We're opening the exhaust valve. Top dead center on the exhaust stroke. Now the intake. And you hear the intake valve kicking. And if we latch out, oh, there we go. Now we're holding the exhaust valve open till it passes. Okay, so something I do need to adjust also is how far out this latch is from there. That's a long way to travel. I don't know the spec, but we're going to eyeball it to 1/8 inch or so by adjusting this screw.
You talking about this? You want an 1/8 inch off?
Yeah.
So it's 3/4 in now.
Nah. 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch, somewhere in there. I have the fuel filler and the fuel line, the oiler, which is easy, just sets the screws on there, and the flywheel. So I want to check timing now, best I can. We got to have there's a spark mark on the other flywheel we'll be able to do, but we get it close. So we're
So I thought you already had a time. So
It's firing right before top dead center, which it should. Well, ignition timing. And this is how you're supposed to start it. It's supposed to fire just at or just after top dead center. Yeah. So like that, it'd kick back on you, but you start up here. So we're getting close to top dead. We're right at top dead center there. Just a tad past and it fires for starting. That's good. So this was adjusted really wrong when I got it. When I would lift that up, it would fire at bottom dead center. Well, almost bottom dead center. This was slid back. This up lets that spring go back further before it fires. This down, it stops it and fires it. So it's actually doing good now. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure these are tight because I thought I was going to have to adjust these. But I think this was all the way back when we got it, and I didn't realize how that worked at the time. I think that's, yeah, ½ inch. Well, it was looser than I thought.
yeah, you were.
Okay, that's close, but we'll get the flywheel on until for sure because there's a mark that's supposed to line up with this push rod when it sparks. Yeah, I'm pretty positive we got spark. It was working before, so I won't bother checking that yet, but I think we should do the fuel line. That's the most pain in the butt part that's there. Okay. The fuel level is lower than the mixer, so. Oh man. I could do it here without. Yeah. So this part is a check valve. It mounts on the top. And this will mount there, and that'll be where our line goes. Let's see. Alright, so this, I want to make sure none's inside of here. I don't want it to get on the check ball. This will be a little tricky. Go that way or that way. I think that sticks out too far. We're going to try this way. Can I even? Will this clear the cart? Barely. I could take this apart, but I have it clear coated right now, so I don't want to if I can't. Don't have to.
They don't understand. They didn't have the gifts training that you had. I used to come back electrician, be aggravated with hell, and then I finally figured out, I had an advantage. I had a cool apprenticeship, worked with guys that trained. They didn't have that advantage.
It ain't gonna work. Okay, so I didn't want to take this apart because I have it clear coated, but we're gonna do it now anyway.
What does the tank hold?
Looks like about 1.5 gallons or so. I don't know exactly.
This.
Yeah, I've greased all the stuff going together, but I'll oil it again later. It's supposed to oil this felt. So it has no teeth on it, so hopefully it shouldn't mar anything up. Too bad. No, because the fuel level's only up to here anyway. So, and there's plenty of paint. I left the paint in those threads on purpose to kind of seal that. Oh, man.
You gotta get it around this.
Yep.
Ooh.
We won't look at that. I'll touch up that brass. Let's pretend we didn't see that. We'll edit that out of the film. You scared me. I think it's getting pretty. Not yet. I want to put this exhaust piece on.
So that's all it goes.
So it aims up.
That's it.
Yep.
Stick out any farther than that.
Nope.
You got those fitting too?
Yeah. The ones on it were steel.
I think I know what 30 seconds of editing.
That ain't good.
Now you know why I had that piece in there.
So I actually, yeah, these I ordered. They came in a pair. I ordered this, and I have the nipple for it, but the elbow won't be here till next week.
Big thing is to get it running. You can change that piece out in 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
So
It'll be here before the show. So
Look like that.
I'm not going to even tighten it super tight. I'll let you do the honors of that part. Yeah, I'm going to have to redo this. Somehow I scratched it all up. Scratched up the clear coat, but it's right here.
I know where it is.
Relube it a little bit. Here, you can install that. I'll go get the flywheel. Okay, last piece. Get this flywheel in and done. Q, hold that side for me while I tap this in. Yep. Okay. Let's try this one.
I don't know.
Man.
Yeah, your keys.
No, a long one or two short ones.
Oh.
Got the long one and two short ones. All right. Well, I'll figure that out later. I want to run this thing. We'll see if as long as we can get it tight with that. That sucks. All right. As long as we get it tight with that bolt, we'll go with it. That's crazy. That key's that loose. So I'll probably need to get the next size up and then cut it a little shorter so it's a little taller. As long as this tightens the flywheel, at least I'll be happy with it.
Will it tighten?
Yeah, it's getting there now. Rotate it a little bit at the back. There you go. Yeah. This one needs to be tighter. I need you to hold that for me. Keep it from turning backwards. See now. See if I can hit that key a tad more.
Tighten it up.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and hit this one again too, just make sure. And all this will be tightened up after we run it. We'll tighten it again. So this one you'll keep from going backwards. Yeah, forward. Technically, this is backwards the way the engine's supposed to spin, but we don't even need water yet. It's probably not going to. Well, I got it where it runs full speed now, so it might get hot. We'll add oil or add water. Okay, so they want to fire early. Let's see. So it's sparking. Let's see. So here's our mark, spark mark. They say you're supposed to line this up with. Oh, it's with that, with the push rod, and it's actually sparking too late, so I need to slide this forward so it sparks earlier. I'm going to check for spark one time just so I don't waste a whole bunch of time trying to start this thing if my magneto quit working. So hold this and you tell me if you feel it.
Yeah. Should I put my tongue on?
That's how you want to do it, but it's kind of old school. Yeah, I'll put it where you can see it too. Alright, see it. Let's see. Yep. Only thing I'll need to do is I need to grease the gears. Let's see. Dripper's dripping fast, so I adjust this screw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drips per. I'll speed it up a little bit when we first break it in once it's running. So on the gear train, I use bar and chain oil because it's stickier and stays there longer. And I apply it through the straw so I could get down into where I need to be. It's easier to do while it's running, but I don't want it to run dry while I'm waiting for that point. Put a little grease on that push rod. Alright, gas it up. Okay, so that's off. Wish I had my good gas can so I wouldn't be dripping everywhere, but I don't know how much to put. I guess that's enough. Alright, quick walk around. I think we're done at this point. Couple things we need to figure out later. I'll need to get a better gib key that fits tighter there. This is it. This gib key's a little long. But it's pretty good here. I want to replace that line with one I didn't kink. And we need to replace this with a brass part once it comes in a little later this week. But all in all, I think we're ready. So we'll see you outside. Alright, this will be the first start, hopefully.
It was too pretty not to take a picture of. I know.
Let's see if we choke it here. Oh yeah, got fuel, that's good. smoke in there. Oh, yeah, we're in start mode. Plenty of gas in it.
Woo! Almost. A lot of gas coming out of it.
A lot of gas in it coming out the cylinder too. I think it's flooded. There's a lot of liquid gas in the cylinder because I couldn't see it working its way out here.
You got the oil to the cylinder on?
Not yet. I squirted a whole bunch down there to prime it. See a bunch, so I will in a minute.
A lot of gas coming out of that thing. Gears are extra noisy now. They had a pattern where they were worn in with that washer. When we got rid of that washer and offset it, it's on a new area now. That's why it's making some noise. I might put that washer back just for that. So this is normal speed. And medium. And low. I like low.
We're gonna make it run slower once it breaks in though. Fuel mixture probably.
Really use low pretty quick.
Get it turned up for break-in.
Oh. Feels
Yeah.
a spark.
So crank in some grease. Make sure the bearings aren't getting hot. They're not. They're nice and cold. Too much gas that time, I think. That would help if it was in start mode. I keep forgetting about that. It's fighting me. Not choked right now. Not choked open. All right, quick walk around here. Got some bugs to work out, but nothing too bad. It runs. We do have a lot of gear noise. But this is with the stock governor spring from Flywheel Supply. So once it breaks in, I'll get something a little weaker so we can get it to run slower. But I call it a success. Only some minor stuff to work on. Alright, time to fix these noisy gears. Okay. Here's what I had going on. Notice with that gear noise. I painted this gear with permanent marker, just what I had, to see where it's wearing. And you could even hear it. With it dry, it's really loud, so I got everything dried off. But I noticed if I lift it up a tad with the bearing play, the noise is gone. Something I did notice before is the bearing itself that wasn't here originally was working its way back and forth, and it wore down the surface in the block, and I think that made the crankshaft lower, which sits tighter on that gear. Because if I look at the gear and the wear pattern, I can see it's bottomed out. So I'm going to try to maybe put a couple shims underneath the bearing, some flat shims to lift the whole assembly a little bit, and see if that works. But yeah, I took a couple pictures of how it was worn, and I had to actually grind down a couple divots where the center hole was, where it poked up into the bearing, but I lost those pictures when I swapped phones. So here's the rig I'm using to lift the flywheels and crank is one. So I just lift them up enough to work, get them out of the way, and then put them back. Okay, gotta lift it up. The lower bearing on this side, there's really no wear. I've ran it for 2 hours. Well, probably, let's see, actually about 3-ish hours, 3.5 hours so far. It's doing great. The right side shows a little bit, especially on this end over here, but mainly this one has a bent shaft on that side, so it's gonna show a little more wear. But still not bad. But this right here is like Babbitt material that holds the bearing. It was worn down. It was worn down a little bit, and there was two little nubs here where the original bearing had holes in it, and it wore down to the point that it has two raised sections. I had to grind down a little bit. So I'm going to make a flat shim that sits in here under the bearing to lift the bearing up to get our gears back where they need to be so they shut up. So here's what I decided to do. I have some brass stock, but it was really thin and I needed multiple pieces. And I just decided to use some gasket material. I got some pretty thick hard gasket material here, so it will go in place and raise the bearings up a tad. I think that will be enough. I will have to re-shim it to make up for that, but not going to be too big a deal there. So I'll let you know how it turns out.